Hi everyone, I wanted to welcome you to DSWF's first official Instagram Live of 2023. My name is Jessica and I am the art manager at DSWF. Tonight I'm going to be joined by a very special guest indeed, the immensely talented winner of Wildlife Arts of the Year 2022, Cy Baker. Cy is a long-term supporter and friend of the foundation, and he uses his work to celebrate the fragility of the natural world. He works in both oil and in biro, and if you haven't seen his work, it is truly breathtaking, so nip over to our website and check it out. A little bit about Wildlife Arts of the Year. It is an internationally renowned wildlife art competition that invites artists from all over the globe to come together and celebrate the beauty of the natural world. This year we are back in person and we'll be having a week-long exhibition starting September 11th at the Mall Galleries in London. I can see Cy just waiting there, but he's actually tuning in tonight from Uganda as he's out visiting one of our projects, the Ugandan Conservation Foundation. He's been there for about 10 days now and I cannot wait to catch up with him and hear everything that he's been getting up to, because the little snippets that we have been getting have been so exciting, so I cannot wait to share them. DSWF have actually been in Uganda since 1984, focusing on preserving the wildlife, the habitat and the communities that surround it, helping UCF provide maintenance and governance to ground-based projects. I really want this live to be as interactive as possible, guys. So any questions at all, just pop them in the little comment section below and I will try and ask Cy as much as I can. I'm just gonna let him in. I have to say sorry if the connection's a little bit funny because he is in the bush. Should be working. Bear with me, I think it's trying its best.
Hello.
Oh, we made it! Oh, sorry.
The screen, you accepted me and the screen went completely black.
Oh, God, that's so hard.
That's what you get for Ugandan internet access, I guess.
How are you?
Oh, fantastic. Absolutely brilliant. I mean, what can you say? It's an amazing country with amazing people. So it's just truly brilliant.
The best. Are you settling in okay?
Yes, no, absolutely fine. We've been to about 4 different lodges and we're currently in Murchison River Lodge in Murchison Falls, which is sort of on the west coast of the country, about in the middle, a little bit north, on the Nile River. So we're right by the Nile River. And about 10 minutes ago, we heard a huge hippo come lumbering out of the water. So yeah, we're close to the wildlife.
That's hardly a lullaby, is it? So you've never been to Uganda before. How does this really compare to all the other wild areas you've been?
It's really difficult, to be honest, to compare. And I think the biggest thing is just the abundance of wildlife here. You go through the parks and you just see wildlife everywhere. You know, you see hawks, eagles, more birds of prey than you can shake a stick at. Herds of cob and other things, elephants, just loads and loads of wildlife. And I think that's the biggest thing, probably, just the sheer abundance of it.
You make me painfully jealous. Every single time I get a WhatsApp from you, Cy, a little bit of me is like, oh God, I wish I was there. I've been following your blogs rather avidly, like a little obsessive. And how was your first big drive? Because your guide, Frank, seemed like a little bit of a guru.
No, he really is very good. He's so knowledgeable. He's from a company called Road Trip Africa, and he really knows his stuff. Because I was in, both of us, me and my wife, were in 2 minds about whether to get a driver or drive ourselves. And I'm so pleased that we decided to go with a driver. One, because the roads here are generally very good, but the trip down to Burundi to see the gorillas, which we can talk about, was very rough roads. So it was really good that he knew where he was going and what he was doing. So no, it's I mean, the longest drive is probably about 9 hours we've had. So not too bad.
And on those bumpy roads, that must be tough.
Well, that's what slows you right down, really. But the roads in Uganda are very good, generally. It's just that one trip down that's a bit bumpy.
That's so exciting. And you said, surrounded by wildlife. You must be so in awe of being surrounded by the wildlife that you help so much to protect. Have you seen anything that's particularly shocked you, or anything that's kind of made
Wow.
you?
It's all quite incredible. I think in terms of the shock, it would probably have to be not necessarily the wildlife. I mean, you get stunned by wildlife. So there's been two or three occasions where we've just sort of turned a corner or passed a tree, and there has been a huge bull elephant. Yeah, or even when we were leaving one of the lodges to come here, actually, we were very early in the morning, and there was a leopard with two cubs. So literally right in front of us. So you get stunned moments of just sort of being completely stunned like that. But the shocking thing, I think, has got to be what we did this morning, which is we went to see the store that the UWA keep, which is the government side of sort of conservation here, the Ugandan Wildlife Authority. They keep a big store of all the snares and traps that have been collected in a place that was funded by the UCF, the sort of the organisation that you support, and it was just, I mean, it's difficult to describe. There's just piles and piles of these traps and snares and things that they've collected. Some, it has to be said, unfortunately, with bits of thing still in them, but it really reminds you of the work that they're doing and why it's so important, and that's got to be the biggest shocking things. I've done some videos and stuff, so I'll share them. But it really is very moving, very moving.
It just brings you back down to earth. I remember UCF came over and gave us a talk in the office, and we saw some images of these snares, and it makes you think so much. And talk about heartstrings, it's beyond heartstrings. It really hits
Totally.
up, and it's so important that they keep doing the work that we're doing. So that's what we have to thank you for entering Wildlife Arts of the Year and actually going out.
Well,
and
yeah, and anybody who can, they enter it. They've still got time, haven't they? I think it's the end of March, isn't it, the deadline? So, any support is gratefully received. And actually, Mike, the guy who runs it, we were chatting with him at another place called Queen Elizabeth National Park, and he said basically without David Shepherd, their organisation wouldn't exist. So he really is incredibly supportive of the work that you guys do. And they work so hard. I mean, they really, really do. And what is so fantastic about the work that they do is the fact that they look at everything in the round. So they rather than just arresting poachers and catching, which they can do very quickly, they try to bring them on board. So they try to sort of look at what it is about their lives. Why are they doing this? How can we support them get another life and a different life? So they really try and bring the whole community and the poachers themselves. They've got a ceremony next week, I believe, where they're going to be swearing in 21 ex-poachers into the UWA.
Amazing.
Yeah, it really is extremely impressive. They do so many really good works. I think they're setting up some projects to support women, so to try and keep them in education past 13. Because I have to admit, the lives of the women here is pretty tough. We met some farmers or some women when we stopped for lunch one time, and one of them had a 6-month-old on her back. She'd been working in the field all morning. She was walking back to her place to get some lunch, I would imagine, before going back. So they just work so hard. It really is incredibly humbling again.
Yeah, I think as like just driving along, you do see these things, and it makes you think again how tough it really is. And I know Mike said how hard these rangers work. I mean, they are conservation heroes in themselves.
Yes.
Being around them and seeing their 7 days a week working, shocking or like inspiring. Have they been welcoming?
Yeah, they've been brilliant. We went out with two guys from the UCF team, Jimmy and I'm trying to remember the name, Dennis, and they are so enthusiastic. It sort of like oozes out of them, sheer enthusiasm for the work that they do and the passion that they have for it and the constant desire to make things better for the wildlife and their communities. And it really, really is very, very inspiring. And everybody's been incredibly welcoming. Everybody that we've met and chatted to, they've been brilliant.
Well, I'm so glad to hear that. I really am. DSWF mostly focuses on lions in Uganda, but we've been involved with anti-poaching and involved with elephants. Have you seen many lions? Have you seen many elephants? Has that kind of been your main species that you've seen?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the lions we saw, again, there was one surprise moment where we were just driving down the road, turned the corner, and there was a lioness crossing the road.
Oh,
and again, about 10 feet away, something like that. I mean, it was ridiculous. And she was stalking some baboons, so she wasn't really seeing us at all. So again, very, very close. We saw a pride of lions. And they just disappeared. We were trying to find them, and we were about, I don't know, 10 feet away before we spotted them, because they're so well camouflaged. You could just see some little ears poking up before they actually, sat up. It's incredible. You could literally walk straight into them if you didn't know they were there.
But yeah, they've been before.
Yeah, no, it's incredible. And then there was a couple of males that we saw, and Jimmy positioned us because one male was walking to join his brother who was sheltering under the bush. So he positioned in this male just walked straight towards us and then past the truck about, I don't know, about 5 feet away. So stunning. And you asked about the elephants. What has struck me most, I think, about them is the societies they have. When you watch them, we were observing a group or a family group that were sort of wallowing in a big mud bath together. And they were constantly rumbling to each other, touching each other all the time, in constant contact. And you really got that sense of a community. That came across really strong. So that's definitely going to inspire one of the pieces of art I do, is trying to capture that sense of community and togetherness.
They are some of the most beautiful animals on this planet. I mean, I can't tell you every single time I look at one and we get photos that you send in, even looking at some of your kind of preliminary sketches, they just are so elegant and beautiful. And you're right when they say that they have these relationships just like human beings.
Yes. Yeah, no, absolutely. And that came across. I mean, it's the same with the lions. I mean, they were sort of, how cats headbutt each other and all that was going on, which is really beautiful to see. But it really was particularly strong with the elephants. But everything's interconnected. Everything really is interconnected here, and you really get a very strong sense of that. The park that we're in now was absolutely decimated during the troubles of the 70s. Completely, wiped out almost. And the habitat changed completely because their elephant numbers crashed. And therefore the trees came in, the woodland came in, the water holes all silted up with mud because there wasn't any big animals that were clearing it out. So that's sort of what I mean about UCF looking at everything in the round. So looking at habitat as well as not just focusing on a species, looking at everything, and because everything is interconnected, it's so clear.
Yeah, well, it's about fixing the long-term problem, not the short-term. And I think they
absolutely right.
They encompass that, and the work that they do is truly inspiring for everybody. I can speak for everybody at DSWF office. The Ugandan project is just one of these ones that gets us all kind of tearing up because they work so hard. And I mean,
it is fantastic. And when we went into the centre where they had the snare and trap store, we spotted your logo on the nameplate. So that was good to see.
That's so nice. We've just a question from Detlef, and I was actually going to ask you anyway, your art. How are you finding sketching in the field?
Well, it is interesting. I mean, obviously, if you're going to focus on wildlife, and particularly the type of art that I do, I can't really sketch the animals from life. But landscapes I certainly have done. So I've done a few landscapes. I take photos and I look at combining them, and I've got a tiny little heat printer, thermal printer, that I'll sort of just print out a little image and then do a sketch while it's all fresh in my head as soon as I can. And you're sort of constantly thinking about what you want to do. I mean, the plan when I came out here was to try and have everything mapped out so that I knew exactly what I was going to do when I got home.
Yeah.
But to be blunt, you have a plan and then you go out and see something else that's utterly amazing that blows that out of the water. So I mean, I'm thinking, right, I can't plan anything too much because who knows what's going to happen tomorrow.
Yeah, of course. And I mean, compared to your studio at home, it must be kind of these, you're seeing things all the time. You must be whipping out your iPad. Just you're using a biro, or you're using your little pen for your iPad, or
Yeah, I'm using my tablet to sketch on. It's just that it's very easy, it's very quick, it's very convenient. You can tweak things really easily on it, and it's been a bit of a game changer for me. But what's so brilliant is working at the art in the place where the animals and the habitat is, because it's so much fresher in your mind. And you're trying to record those thoughts as well as actually sketching the animals themselves, and some of the landscapes as well. But it's all the thought processes that you go through about planning what you're going to do. It's a bit like you wouldn't necessarily get that real sense of how these animals behave if you weren't very lucky enough to be here to observe them. So that really will shape the final pieces that I do. I've got no real question about that.
See, I always think an artist produces their best work when they feel truly inspired by a raw subject. And
Yeah.
so you talked about kind of your plan before you work. So Costa Rican Cloud Forest is the work that won Wildlife Arts of the Year 2022. That epic piece that I. So when you map that out, the difference between working with that and working the way you are now in Uganda is it, you know, day and night? Is it kind of similar as you as an artist? Is your thought process and where you're going to put the first dot of the pen hit the same, or is it different?
The thought process is probably the same because obviously we were in Costa Rica. So we went to Costa Rica, we observed the cloud forest, we were there, we were seeing the animals, we were doing everything like that. So because I generally speaking, 95% of all the work I do, I have been there and seen it. I only ever really work from subjects that I've seen and I've experienced. So it will be a relatively similar. I mean, obviously, because of working with yourselves, I am much more focused on getting the ideas while I'm out here. So in Costa Rica, it was a little bit more of letting it percolate throughout time and then seeing what I wanted to do afterwards. So I think it will probably be a bit fresher here. Mm-hmm. So it'll be very interesting to see what the final works that I produce will be like, because I'm very much a case of I'll be getting back and almost as soon as I land, getting through customs and then getting the pen out and starting to draw. So it will be very quick because there's still your wildlife ball, isn't there, coming up on is it the 3rd?
The 3rd of March.
So I've got a piece of work I've got to get done for that. So it'll be very much a case of hitting the ground running, which is brilliant because it will still be very, very fresh in my mind.
Mm. I feel like we just had a little comment that it was a huge privilege to meet you at Queen Elizabeth. Jimmy is now in Murchison and we'll take you out to Lions tomorrow. We just had a little comment.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm meeting up with Jimmy again tomorrow, which is brilliant. As I say, he and his co-worker Dennis have been fantastic. Mm-hmm. Mike's been amazing. We had a couple of dinners with him, and he's just like one of the most inspiring people I've ever met. He's really driven, and the things that he has achieved is just extraordinary.
It blew us away when he told us about it. Jaws were all on the floor.
No, quite extraordinary.
So you mentioned earlier, I must say, the video you sent me on WhatsApp of those baby gorillas. I must have watched it 900 times. How was seeing the gorillas?
That really was. I mean, it kind of defies description, really. I mean, when I did the sketch and I was put a little note at the end about how do you describe spending an hour with these creatures, and I was trying to think about it, and I just put you can't, because it's just, I don't know, it kind of defies belief, really. I mean, you're right there with them. I mean, you're not supposed to touch them, obviously. We were wearing masks to try and protect them still from a lot of the bugs that are around. But we are right in there, and if one of them wants to come past you, they come past you. And a female actually, she clearly wanted to get across from me, so I tried to move out of the way, but she sort of headed straight for me and then sort of put her hand on my hip as she went past, as if to say, "Get out of the way, mate, what are you doing here?" So that was a bit of a, your heart rate's going crazy because they're a real mixture of just power. That they're so powerful, so big, but so gentle, incredibly gentle. So yeah, really, really, defies description.
I remember seeing a photograph of a gorilla, and it was lying in the bush, but it was lying on its arm like that, like a human does. And
Yeah,
I remember I was so young, I must have been 11. I remember saying to my mum, "That's like a human man. Like
yeah.
they're so close to us." And it must have been. I'm so jealous that you saw them because they're magnificent, and those little babies playing with each other, it's just so sweet. It's like
I know it's moments like that that are just you know that's what this trip is all about, really. I mean, I've always wanted to see gorillas since I don't know how old I would have been, about 6 or 7, when David Attenborough did his famous thing on Life on Earth, and I have to admit I do think that series is part of the reason why I do wildlife art, because I've always loved art even before that, but I think that was what cemented my interest in the natural world and really wanting to communicate that awe and passion that we all feel when we have moments like this. Very, very special. Very, very lucky to have experienced it.
that kind of raw inspiration doesn't come around that often, does it?
No, we'll never do it again.
Obviously, Wildlife Artist of the Year is happening right now, and you've got to get your entries in by the 29th of March. So, any kind
Yeah.
of wildlife artist on at the moment, remember. Do you have any kind of tips and tricks, any little things about painting in the field or painting a project that would help a young wildlife artist that hasn't necessarily done that?
Yeah, it's tricky, that, because I suppose I tend to think that everybody needs to find their own way, if you like, in terms of what inspires them and what works for them.
Yeah.
Um, but I mean, without just brushing it off and saying, "Well, I'm not going to help at all." I think it's about trying to just enjoy it. Really trying to get out of the way of the art and just let it happen. Try to experiment, try different things, because I don't know, it's very individual. But I remember when I was starting, I used to get quite anxious about how good the art was, and I've learned over the years it's best to not think about that at all. So really try and switch that part of your brain off that is constantly criticizing yourself. Because I go through various stages with the art that I produce, and every single piece I've ever done, just about, I've hated it at some point. But you just have to switch off from that and keep going, and do a piece. If that doesn't work, do another piece. Just keep going and try not to get in the way of your own art, which sounds a bit weird, but I think we can do as artists.
No, I think when it comes to advice, that's up there with some of the best that you can give. I mean, Francis Bacon used to set his canvases alight. He used to rip them to bits, and he was a modern master. I don't think if you
Yeah.
brought Picasso back from the dead that he would love every single one of his works. And I think you're so right. If you completely let yourself go and just dedicate yourself and your mind to the canvas, things will happen truly
No,
useful.
I
I have,
think I think I think it was Picasso who said something like, "Do art, and then while everybody else is making up their minds about whether it's any good, do more art."
yeah.
You know, so same kind of thing, I guess.
Yeah, he was wonderful. I have to ask a slightly cheeky question because I'm desperate to know. Have you had any inspiration for your Wildlife Artist of the Year 2023 piece? Don't.
I don't.
I every day. I want to hear. Oh, we might have had a little bit of a cutout. Just bear with us, guys. We've got a little bit of a delay, Sam. Yeah, just say that again.
Oh, are you
You
back?
finally succumb to the.
Back. We're back.
Yeah, we're back. We're back. I've got you.
We're back. Yeah, so I think I was saying that there's just almost too many ideas. I've got so many buzzing around in my head right now, but there will be.
A little bit of a cutout. Just bear with us, guys. Oh God, a whole myriad. I hope everyone heard that. We've got you, Sai. We've got you.
Yeah,
But we
got me back.
um having all those species in it, which is music to my ears. I cannot wait to see it. And again, another biro piece. Are we going? Shouldn't ask you that. I don't want to ruin the surprise, but I'm so desperate to know.
No, I mean, I don't think that'll be too much of a surprise. It will be Barrow. So, that's my sort of medium of choice now. And I mean, you can never say that you'll never change, can you? But that's pretty much what I work in now. So it will be Barrow. But in terms of what it'll be, I honestly don't know. I honestly don't know. My head's just buzzing with so many ideas.
But it's so good, and that brings on. I mean, I'm so happy to kind of announce that we will be working with you to produce a body of work that's inspired by this exhibition. So, everyone on the live, please do keep your eyes and ears open for information and updates with that, because Sai's work is, as I said, absolutely breathtaking, and the work he does in Biro. I don't know how your hands are the way they are, and honestly, godly. It's how many pens did you use to do Costa Rican Cloud Forest again?
I think that was about six. I think 5 or 6 pens, which they go further than you'd expect, really. But yeah, you get through them. But it's ideal for me because what I love about them is that they don't. Well, they obviously they do run out eventually, but you don't have to sharpen them. You don't have to mix color. There's just you and the canvas, and you can just keep going. That's what I really love about them.
Well, I think I love monochromatic work. I think it gives you the ability to paint and draw depth with only two colors, and I think it really
Yeah.
well. It really focuses on the subject rather than that outward by adding color, by taking away color. Even you really do focus on the
Yeah,
depth.
I find that you can get unique atmospheres that you can't with color. I mean, they're two different things. There's neither right nor wrong, but I just love it because of the atmospheres that you can create. It just really works for me.
I mean, Costa Rican Cloud Forest. I remember, seeing pictures of it and seeing how you drew it on your Instagram. So if you want to see how Sai works, please do head over to his Instagram, because you can see really up close of the ballpoint on the canvas. You can almost feel the heat and that kind of heavy air of the Costa Rican jungle in that work. It's amazing how you've managed to capture the kind of the moisture in the air. And you're right, that kind of medium does allow you to create an atmosphere, and it's amazing.
Yeah, no, absolutely, it really does, and that's what I like to do is try and feel that atmosphere wherever we are. I mean, it could be the back garden. I've done pieces inspired by a back garden, but it's just getting that atmosphere, feeling it, and then trying to put it onto the canvas. That's the bit that I love, and then that could be the character of the animal or just the landscape. It's just that emotion and feeling that you can try and communicate that is what it's all about, as far as I'm concerned.
I mean, the baby gorilla sketch that you did, I mean, you caught the emotion in its eyes just, I mean, perfectly. And please look at Sai's, if you're as inspired as me by talking to you, Sai, I think everybody should look at your work and look at your Instagram and follow along on DSWF's Instagram and have a little look at the sketches that Sai is producing in the field on an iPad, and see, because with the iPad, it's amazing how you can film it, so you can see how you build that sketch.
Yeah.
So that might be really useful for wildlife artists to kind of see. You don't just draw. I mean, excuse my ignorance because I know nothing about drawing, but you don't just draw a circle. You really kind of almost draw a line, and then you build on that to create shade and depth that is amazing. You really capture that on that iPad.
Oh no, that's good to hear. I mean, it's an interesting process actually, because I used to do oil paintings as well, and it's a different way of working. So I'll start with a shape, like a blob on the tablet, and then I'll just hone it down. So you start with the very basic shadows and light and shade, and then you just fine tune it and get down to the detail, because I have to have all that organized before I start a biro piece, because obviously I can't rub the biro out, or I can't really go over it. So all of that has to be pretty much planned out before I start the biro. So that's my thinking tool. The tablet is where I work all of that stuff out.
And yeah, it allows you to rub out, it allows you to make mistakes. I completely forgot. Of course, you can't biro. Thank God, no mistakes in Costa Rican cloud forest, because wow, it's a stellar piece.
Yeah. No, it's interesting. It's a bit like cooking. You can add, but you can't take away.
Oh God, how awful adding too much salt. Oh, it ruins it. I want to let you back to your wonderful wife and the wonderful lodge that you're in, and get a good night's sleep for tomorrow's busy day with the lions.
Thank you. I'm really looking forward to tomorrow. It should be special.
Well, please send us all the information you can, and we'll get it up on our Instagram so everybody tonight for tuning in can follow along. I want to thank everybody for joining the live tonight. It's been absolutely great, and Sai, as ever, you've been fantastic, and you've really provided us with an insight into working in Uganda and actually drawing, which in the bigger sphere of things is invaluable.
Well, thank you.
Sai's journey, please do follow us on Instagram, follow Sai on Instagram, and if you have any questions, send me, DSWF, Sai, a DM. They're always open, and we're always open to chat, aren't they, Sai?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, absolutely right. And thank you very much. So it's been great chatting to you, and thank you for all the work that you support. I just paint pictures, but it's you guys and the UCF here that are doing the work.
Well, thank you very much. We really appreciate it. But I'll drop you a WhatsApp. It's lovely to see you all. Bye, Sai.
Yeah. Thanks so much indeed.
No problem.
Bye.